Hi guys, welcome back to LA Dance Diary. This is season 2.
We're back.
We're back. It's another Tuesday, so grab you a sip and stay. Whatever it is, it's water, wine, coffee.
Yeah.
For us, it's water today.
Water and a little coffee.
Yeah, so here we are. It's another Tuesday. Abby, you thought you would throw me with a curveball last minute. I love it on the topic. So
Yep.
yeah, you were talking to me about something that was on your mind. Let me know. What's up?
Yeah. Well, like we discussed on like a couple episodes ago, I had such a busy work phase and I was just rolling and just working and working and working. And then I had some downtime. I had like a half day off, maybe a full day off, and I was sat there and I just felt depressed. And I felt sad. I felt empty. I felt all of these emotions. And instead of doing what I usually do, which is work, go take a dance class, go to all the million things, I was like, this happens to me every time I'm not booked on something. So I sat and I was like, where is this coming from? Like, why am I not enjoying my downtime like I should? Like, I'm busy, I'm active, I'm working, I'm doing all the things that I love. So that should mean that if I'm off a job and I'm not on a job, I should be really enjoying the time and space that I have, because then I'll be back on a job.
Yeah.
And then, and so kind of sat with myself for a second. And this is something that has plagued me for my entire life. I tie my identity to my work so much that I don't even know how to put it into words. Like my work is me. I don't know who I'd be without it.
We're very similar in that way. Yeah, for most of my life, I would say I've been the same, where it's like productivity and like kind of output, like that, the fact that I'm doing something in the world, that is kind of what gives my life purpose and meaning. And like, of course, I enjoy all the good things that come with life and all the fun and the silly, but I'm really like, interested in showing my work and, being someone who has something to say. So this time in my life when I personally am not dancing has been really difficult for me because I get it. Like, when you're not doing what you think you've been put on this earth to do, it's hard. It's totally hard. So even a day is tough. I get that.
I just feel like my value is my work. Like,
I get that.
To other human beings, to partners, like I'm starting to realize that this might be something that I have to not
address.
Tackle, but like,
no, I was gonna say I think it is important to address. Like,
what happens if I can't do the thing that I love? Like
that's
why this is such a good conversation, because you're in a place where you cannot currently do what you love.
Exactly. Yeah, it's been an interesting situation, and I think like there's like both the optimism side of it for me, and then also like the realism / a little bit of like understanding that something else could happen. Like, for example, my whole plan is to rehab, which I'm fixed.
Yeah.
So once I am fixed, I will be doing the thing. But then there's also, you have to, when you experience something like a surgery, super major that takes you out for a while, you have to think about, okay, well, what if it happens again?
Right.
Or, like, okay, so right now I've kind of been like trucking along as is, like we're heading back towards dance. But during this time, it's also been really important for me to find other reasons for living and breathing and having a great time, And I think like I've been able to invest so much into teaching and building confidence in myself in such a new way.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, you think it's hard to put yourself in like the front of a room. Try doing it while you're on crutches.
Yeah.
In like a fitness space. It was so interesting. And yeah, I've had to like be very okay with not being the one who can demonstrate things.
Yeah.
Or being okay with, not putting all my weight on my left leg for a while. And, all these things that like were just second nature.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even something that was like a big, I don't know. It's just, I've always been able to stand and walk. So that was hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of rambling in for a second there. I don't know where I was headed with that.
You're good.
But I guess to all that to say, like, it is important to find, and realize your worth outside of the dance studio and outside of filming and outside of social media. Because if you don't, you can lose sense of it when it all goes away. And it can go away.
Yeah.
It did for me.
Yeah. I just don't know how. Like, I literally, I had a convo with ChatGPT. Like, also, you can't afford therapy. I can't afford therapy. But I just was like, sat there and I was like, ChatGPT helps me with a lot of things. So I was like, hey, ChatGPT, da-da-da. And I just like word vomited my brain. And it was so good. Like, I swear, like, also a plug. Like, yeah, if you actually are having any issues and you don't have a friend to talk to, or you cannot afford a therapist, or you don't want to go to a therapist,
Maybe
like,
I should try that.
actually try ChatGPT. I was shocked.
Wow, that's interesting.
Amazing the responses
Good
were.
Use of AI.
It felt like I was having a conversation with a therapist.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Oh, that's awesome.
But so I asked that to ChatGPT because I was like, okay, my value, I feel like my value comes so much from my work. And I think that shows up in my friendships. It shows up in my conversations. It shows up in my relationships that I have. I also tend to, attract people that, in
Are
relationships,
similar,
I tend to attract people that enjoy what I do. So I think that's not helped as well. Like, especially if like I meet someone online or I meet someone on Instagram, it's like the first thing they're presented with. And like usually the first compliment I get is wow, you're so talented. And I feel like I've internalized that so much, and then it's like I'm always working, I'm always on social media, I'm always doing something. So when I'm in that moment where I'm like, wait, I don't have a job booked right now, it's like I lose my sense of identity,
I think as hard as this time is for me, and as like difficult as it is, and me talking about like not really wanting to put myself on social media right now, but like I really am confident in like the woman inside, and focusing on the internal and just like my immediate life and like kind of quieting the noise for a few months has been so helpful. Because like, I mean, when I first started dating online, people were in my DMs like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm getting like upset right now. But they were like, saying these like awful things to me.
Yeah.
Like, and just during that time, I was so online chronically, and like hearing that on top of being a part of social media and stuff, it was just like that was way too much. But during this time it's been really nice to like focus on those things and like build. Sorry, I need
no you're okay. Told you, therapy podcast.
This
is what it is. Like,
well, this is what happens when you throw me with some shit.
I just felt like it was
mentally
so
prepared.
So basically we had a different episode planned, but I felt like it's been very prevalent on my heart to feel this, and then I know Rachel's been feeling it too. So we wanted to, whenever we do these episodes, we want to always be honest and vulnerable with you guys, and like we want to share the good and the bad. And so
so all that
some of these things come out and it's emotional, and so
so all that to say, like, of course, like I've experienced like hard shit, and people saying shit to me online, so like kind of taking some time and space to really build an identity outside of like life has been really, really helpful. And I was forced to do it, you know, so this is, maybe closer to a year-long process that like I would never advise you to take a year off of dance or a year off of social media, or like, maybe you don't need as long as that would require. But I do think sometimes it's nice to take some space away, because it's, like I said, it's a machine. It's constantly chugging. You're plugging away. You're feeling that pressure to always put things out there, to always have something to say. But like, what do you feel?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you have any advice? Like, obviously, as someone that's gone through it, like, is there anything that has, obviously, you just shared that like stepping away from socials has been a good thing for you. And I've actually really been limiting my screen time recently. Like, I have my moments.
Too. Like, you're more of a creator. So I don't think it's things like that for you. I don't think you would necessarily need it.
Yeah. But is there any, like, what, you said you feel confident as like a woman and a human. Like, what, even if you don't know specifically, like, what helped you get there?
Doing shit that scares you. Doing shit that scares you. And again, like, that sounds so simple to say, and it's like we do it a lot as dancers because we're putting ourselves in front of like cameras and people who we want us to work with and all those things. But being like a teacher, and again for me, like that was a really good confidence booster because it scares the shit out of me to lead a room. And nobody knows that. Because I'm working the room and performing. But yeah, I think like doing that consistently week after week when I didn't feel like it, when I was literally on crutches, when my knee was like, my whole leg was immobilized in a brace for 8 weeks, I was like, this is what it is. I'm going to show up on my worst. And everyone was all positive. No one ever said anything mean to my face. No one ever was like, why are you teaching a yoga class? You cannot
You're
stand.
A great teacher, so I don't even doubt.
So I mean, like, again, everything went well. So I was constantly being shown, you don't need to be so anxious. You don't need to be so stressed. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. You know what that just reminded me of, actually? So I went to I had an Oscars viewing party a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And we did like, it's really fun. We did like a ballot thing, like the Vanity Fair ballot, where you guess who's going to win each thing. I think it's like 26 categories. So we all did it. And then
Didn't you win or something?
I won.
Yeah. I saw that, I think,
I wasn't like shocked because, I'm just way too much of a movie nerd.
I'm still so sad for Demi.
I know, me too.
I love her.
So I'm just such a movie nerd. So we did it. And then, because we were trying to figure out, we were like, oh, let's make this fun. Like, let's have a prize. And we're like, we're not going to like give each other money or anything.
Right. But like a little silly fun.
A little silly thing. So my friend came up with the idea. She was like, whoever wins, every person in the room has to compliment them. Give them a compliment, right? So I won. And first of all, highly recommend having a compliment circle with your friends. Why do we not do that more?
Cute.
I literally got so emotional. But none of the compliments that people gave me were about work. They were about like, they might have been work related. Like, there was like, oh, you have a fierce energy. You show up authentically. You're so like, and it wasn't even ambitious.
Driven,
it wasn't
dedicated.
Like that. It was like you go for things, like you take things on and you do them. And like one of the other compliments from someone I've actually only known like a couple of weeks was like, you make me feel so safe to be myself, and like all these compliments. And I like got so emotional because I was like, I only compliment myself about my work, like all day. Did I do a good job? Is like, I'll watch my footage back. Like, was that the best I could do? How can I be better at work? How can I be better? And it was like all these humans around me that don't care. They do care, but if all that was stripped away, they see me. And I'm like, how do I see that for myself? So maybe I just need to like spend some more time,
I think,
reminding myself of the human characteristics that I have.
Absolutely. Because like all that exterior stuff will go away. Like, Adrian Brody's acceptance speech, like talking about how, things can go away so fast.
So true.
For me, it was both a loss of work identity, but also physically.
Right.
My leg got really fucking tiny.
Yeah.
It
like, what is this?
It atrophied really hard. And so I'm looking at my leg. I'm like, I don't recognize
what
this
is this body part right now?
And so like even like I had to just like touch my leg to be like, okay, this is real. I think it's important. It's important because one day we're gonna age. One day, like.
And
all,
what if
all
I
those
want
things.
to do something different? I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and what
I don't see that happening. But what if a new life transition comes up? Like, how am I going to deal with that?
And who's to say that all of those amazing qualities that your friends love about you, that I hope you love about yourself, won't take you into another really incredibly successful life?
Right.
Like, you could have chosen a different life for yourself where you would have been successful in some way.
Yeah.
Because all of those things that make you good at what you do are not related to the craft itself.
Right.
Or related to the work that you've done. It's related to
skills
the human and the skills.
But I'm driving them into this thing, but I could drive them into another thing quite easily.
Because like if you think about the skills of what makes a good dancer, a good choreographer, like you have to be super organized. You have to have an amazing level of body awareness. You have to be able to know how to lead a room.
Right.
And like I'm taking all of those into a yoga studio right now,
Yeah.
So,
wow, that's a good
or a
point.
personal training capacity. Like I'm taking them into these other capacities.
That's such a
What's
good point.
interesting about my experience is it's been physical while I haven't been able to be physical.
Yeah.
Wow. Would not recommend. If yeah.
I mean, it was like I had my broken foot, but I was lucky that it was during COVID because and I still choreographed 2 music videos when you were in one of them.
Okay. Yeah.
That was the one I was on crutches, right?
Yeah.
Who are we? I was like, don't worry about it. I could still do the job. Don't fire me from this job. Let me just hire an assistant.
So funny.
So I feel like that would have been a really good opportunity for me to try and process something like that. But it was during a time when the world was shut down.
Right. So there were so many other things that you probably
and I didn't really have to deal with it because no one, even the job that we did, like we had protocol and we, it was no one. It was like those little gems of people being like, we're still going to do this and we're going to have to do it really safely. But the industry was shut down. There was no dance classes at all. Like we were Zoom vibing. So I always look at that and I'm like, that would have probably been quite a good opportunity to discover. But I'm also glad that it didn't because it was such a horrendous year anyway.
It was such a crazy time.
Horrendous couple of years, but
so it's like I don't wish anyone to go through anything really because of course like this is some tough stuff. But
you've learned.
You are going to experience ups and downs in your life and you can count, I'm sure, many times in your life where you've been through a massive down. But a huge up has come out of it.
Yeah.
And so I have to, use this time to work on my faith too, to really be like, I've pulled through before.
Yeah.
Like I've done
do it
and
again.
I'm going to do it again.
You'll do it again and again. Yeah.
And that's okay.
So true. Yeah. It doesn't matter what happens.
And
you're gonna rise.
And that to me makes me more proud of myself than anything. Any job I've ever done. Because like, who can do this? This girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really
because I don't talk much about it, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can't even imagine. I really can't. Like I know I'm only here, seeing and hearing this much. Yeah. That compared to you being going through each day, and so I'm very proud of you, and you're handling it with grace as always, like crazy amounts of grace.
It's not always doesn't always feel like that, but I'm glad to be on this side of things, and I'm glad to be wiser, and I'm glad to be older every day and wiser every day.
Yeah, definitely. Oh. ChatGPT, the advice that ChatGPT gave me, by the way.
I'm like, okay, so points from this episode, therapy from ChatGPT.
Yeah. Compliment circles, which maybe we should end with a little, we'll do a back and forth compliment circle.
Yeah.
So I asked ChatGPT, and first of all, it asked me very intrusive questions that I was like, what?
Interesting.
It was like, ask me, is this, I can't really remember, but it was like, does this happen to you every time you're off a job? Why do you think this is? Like, how tied is your purpose to your career? Like, so it kind of like did a little deep dive. And then the suggestions that ChatGPT has was really locking in on those things that are nothing to do with work and making sure I make them a part of my life. So it was like, it literally said, it was like, what have you forgotten about yourself because you're getting busier? And I was like, whoa, ChatGPT. Wow. And I was like, road trips, hiking. Like I used to hike during COVID. I would hike by myself.
You used to hike a lot.
Different places, like not just Runyon. I would drive out, take a lunch, and I was doing it with some friends at the time as well. Fun. Things like that. Like horror, I love horror, and of course I go see every horror movie, but there is horror activities, there's other things. There's there's spaces where I can be that have nothing to do with work. And ChatGPT kind of suggested like those things that make you, like being out in nature, like whatever those things are, you should try and so ChatGPT basically, suggested that some of those things that are more just you and your personality that aren't just work focused, like to try and hone in on those a little bit more. So I'm going to try and do that, I guess.
That's awesome. And I think again, when you're super busy, because you're super busy with work, you're not focusing on those things. But I think it's okay, when things slow down to fill your cup in those other areas.
Yeah. Definitely.
Because then, it gets you out of the house.
Yeah.
You probably feel like a little more, less like a lazy person, less like a failure, that's not what those words mean.
Right.
And we humans, we also have to realize we are not put on this earth to work, you know, like that's just this construct we've come up with societally, is that like we're exchanging, you know, things for money, and you know, we've made up this concept or whatever. But
we
like
weren't put here for that.
We weren't put here for that.
No.
It's not that serious, you know. Well, maybe if you're a doctor it is.
Yeah.
But not
You're right. You know, we were put on this earth to like frolic and like make baby, even though, you know, that's not for me. But you know, like there was so many other things where they were like typically naturally supposed to do.
Why were we put on this earth?
Why? Who knows? That's not an essential question for the day. But I feel like we should wrap up this episode with compliments. Yeah,
I love it.
I'm going to go first. I'm going to give you some compliments. Also, I really encourage you to do this with your friend. I swear down, like, why do we not? Yeah. Anyway,
I know
we all share our grievances. We all moan. We all complain.
Yes.
Why, you know.
Or we'll give like an exterior beauty compliment.
Or you know, or you'll see people online. But like when you're next with your friends, like
important for
do
people.
it. It's so nice. So I want to compliment you on, first of all, your resilience.
Thank
I think
you.
that you've, you know, this whole situation, like you've really not wavered from who you are as a person, or, you know, this could have made you bitter or angry. And I'm sure there's been those moments, but as far as you showing up for your students, showing up for your friends, showing up on this podcast, all of those things, you've remained faithful and kind. So I really compliment you on that. Yeah, that's just a really big one for me. I think that one of the biggest things I could say about you is since I've met you to today, our friendship, your values have remained the same. You show up for people, you show up for yourself, and I think that's a really your morals are there, and you've never wavered on those no matter what's happened. And I think that's really, you have integrity with yourself. So I think
I appreciate that. I would say like I feel like very mirrored back with you, and I think like my favorite thing from day one about you has been like your ability to show up for people and to like give 100% of yourself in everything that you do. I think as someone who is similar, it is so, you know, when we're working together, but when we're hanging out together as friends, it's like I always feel like you're there for me 100%. Like, you know, if you need a moment where you need a day and you're like, okay, I can't be there for my friend today, you know, like you communicate that, but you've always 100% shown up when I needed you. You 100% show up to every rehearsal we've been in together. You've never like misused my time when you've been the one leading it as a choreographer. Like you are so well-rounded with how you show up to things and just giving it your all. That matters a lot to me as your friend. So thank you. I'm sorry, I butchered all that.
No, you're good. Isn't it nice though? Why don't we do this more?
We
it's like
should
a hug.
do this more.
It's like a large hug.
It is a big hug.
So to wrap this up,
I'm proud of you too.
Oh my God, thanks. I'm proud of you.
Like for real. And I know like, yeah, again, like I'm stepped aside of the industry a little bit, but like I just have so much love for seeing what you're doing every day, like how you're advancing your career every day. And yeah, I mean, things are paying off for you big time.
Yeah.
And your patience has been rewarded.
Yes.
I look up to you a lot.
God.
I do.
I look up to you too. So
you. Oh my God. Holy shit. I'm like, for what? Why? As we're like,
this is the point of this episode.
I know. As we're compliment circling, it's
funny.
Good.
There we go.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I feel like now as your friend, I feel like you're equal in a way that like we met at a time where I wasn't quite as confident or as like mature.
I've watched you blossom as a woman.
Thank you.
That's for sure. And your confidence.
Yeah,
like,
that's why I was like,
you know, we have stories for another day. We've been things, you know, there's been things that we've experienced like duality, and there's been things we've actually experienced together that I feel like have really made us, like, have really shaped where we are today.
Our friendship.
And I love to see that.
And we're very lucky to have each other.
Yes, we are. Okay, if you're listening to this right now or you're watching this, I want you to take 5 minutes to craft a message to someone that inspires you or that you love or just a friend. And I want you to tell them in detail why you love them so much or why you're inspired by them, and send it right now.
And then after that, I want you to do that for yourself. Yeah. A love letter to yourself as if you were your friend.
I love that. That's your homework for today. Please do it. It's going to make you feel
We're gonna
really warm and fuzzy.
We're
going to do it too.
We're going to do it too.
We're going to do it too.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll share
that
our
was
little
very wholesome. Oh, I love that. That was a good
great
homework assignment. Thank you. I'm going to go home and do it.
Me too.
All right.
Wow. Guys, that
LA
was
Dance
awesome.
Diary.
Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being vulnerable today.
Oh, thank you for like, again, it's always a comfy space. And I appreciate that because like, I think we want to talk about some deep things here that, you know, in the dance and creative space, you're maybe not sharing your feelings so much.
Totally.
So I'm very thankful for this outlet. I love you.
Same.
We'll see you at the next one.
See you guys next week. Have a great Tuesday.
Take care. Have a good Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.